Hello, welcome to Writings from the Hills. My name is Lori, and we're going to be covering a kind of a short book for us. It is called Passing Point. It is the 1868 steamboat collision on the Ohio River, and this is by Don Morrison. And this, when I say it is short, it is 93 pages long, and that includes the resources. And this was published in 2017. There are illustrations in the book, including map and some of the pictures of the steamboats that was in the collision. I am going to be reading a selection from the prelude. On the afternoon of December 4th, 1868, Marcus Toney bought a ticket from Cincinnati down to Louisville on the steamer United States. The United States, like her sister boat, the America, was a state-of-the-art steamboat in the evening trade between Cincinnati and Louisville on the Ohio River. Both of these wooden-hulled boats were built and owned by the U.S. Mail Line Company based in Cincinnati. One of the sisters embarked from Cincinnati every evening, and the other left Louisville, so they passed during the night, usually near Rowell's Landing on the Indiana side, not far from the village of Florence, Indiana, and across from the larger town of Warsaw, Kentucky. These large steamers made no landings on the way except for Lawrenceburg and Madison, both on the Indiana side. Together, these boats were the most formidable rivals of the railroads at the time. As boats became larger and the steamboat trade on the Ohio became more competitive after the war, and as more of the obstacles on the river was removed, the larger boats no longer tied up at the short night, but continued on their way through the hours of darkness. And at 5:30 in the evening, the United States, which had been in service for 2.5 years, was scheduled to cast off her lines from the wharf boat at the foot of Vine Street in Cincinnati. Wharf boats were used as staging platforms for the loading and unloading of steamboats. A boat was needed for the purpose rather than a fixed wharf because it could rise and fall with the river stage, just as the boats did. A note for those in Lawrence County residents, we also had a similar concept in Ironton. A boat was placed on the wharf to allow for the unloading and loading of ships for Ironton, for the steamboats and other ships in Ironton. Large ports like Cincinnati and Louisville built huge wharf boats that equaled the size of the large steamboats. Smaller river towns built more modest structures for freight handling. And some of the lesser steamboat stops were likely to use wharf boat repurposed from steamboats that had gone out of service. The worn or damaged bows and sterns were cut off and the bulk headed up. Weak places were patched and the interior stripped to become cavernous bays for the staging of freight to be loaded onto and offloaded from. Pack boats, which were steamers that carried the freight, mail, and passengers. Each small port of call up and down the river had its own version of the wharf boat. A pilot who could land on a big wind-catching steamboat alongside one of these structures in bad weather without sinking his steamer, the wharf boat, or both, won the admiration of the kids and old men who hung around the wharves at river towns along the way. Well, that is just the beginning and a little bit of history about steamboats and wharf boats. And this book is called Passing Point. It's the 1868 steamboat collision on the Ohio River. And it is between the steamers United States and America near Warsaw, Kentucky on the night of December 4th, 1868. This book is by Don Morrison, and it is available to be checked out. You can go to our website at www.briggslibrary.com or call in your locations to request a copy. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.